So in 2021, I was making $80,000 a year as a full-time chef. And then I quit around May 31st, 2021. I quit that job in an attempt to be free from kind of like the rat race, not be stuck working a 9 to 5, to get the time and financial and location freedom that I really, really saw and wanted for myself. And I haven't made it yet. I'm still not there. But I am a hell of a lot closer than I ever have been. And it's been a hell of a ride. A lot of pivoting came with that. Well, okay, let's go back. All right, because there's a lot of kind of like backstory that goes into this. Now I want to just have y'all lost out here. So we used to have a lot of family gatherings at my grandma's house, right? Family was a really big thing. It's kind of one of those things I look for if I'm ever talking or dating to somebody. Not that you have to have a great relationship with your family. I know you can't choose the family that you get, but as far as your idea of family and what that means to you, that's kind of important to me. Just because family is a big thing. We would spend a lot of the holidays at my grandma's house. Before she passed away, that was like kind of the meetup spot for everybody. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, big holidays during the summer, whole family would be there. We would all meet up there, and I would get to see my other brothers and sisters because they lived with my dad and their mom. And I would get to see cousins, my grandma, and everybody. Like that was just where everybody got to meet up and shit, right? My mom was always working multiple jobs. She usually had a day job or a 9 to 5, and usually some type of night job. And until I was 10 years old, it was just me and her. It was kind of a latchkey kid. So I was used to seeing her working hard, right? I was used to seeing her kind of grinding, doing what she had to do to make sure bills was paid, food was good, we didn't want for nothing, like all that, right? My dad was an entrepreneur. He was a music producer in San Francisco. He ran his own studio, had his own label. And I would go see him and my other brothers and sisters during the summer. And a lot of that time would be spent at the house with their mom, who's basically my second mom. She always treated me just like one of her kids. There was never any type of separation or anything like that. But a lot of that time spent out there, he would still be at the studio. He'd be up early, head to the studio for sessions or whatever. He might drop us off at our cousin's house or take us to go get breakfast. But a lot of the time was either him at the studio or us hanging out with him at the studio while he was working. So I've always seen hard work coming from both sides of my family. My mom was always grinding. My dad was always grinding. We were never like super rich or wealthy or anything. We weren't broke. We were low-key living in the project sometimes. We weren't in the best neighborhood sometimes. But we weren't broke. We just was living paycheck to paycheck like most people. And in seeing both my mom and my dad just constantly working and having to do all this to make sure bills was paid, ends were met, right? I didn't want to be an extrovert. So I wasn't the type of kid who was asking for the new Jordans or PlayStation. I did one year and they made it happen for me. They got me a PlayStation 2. That's a whole story in itself. But I was never the type to ask for hella stuff because I didn't want to be that extra burden. Now, I was also a bit of a nerd and a good kid, so I wasn't going to be out running the streets or doing any type of illegal activities for the most part. I did sell some bootleg DVDs and CDs for a little bit, but that was about the extent of my criminal career. But I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. I used to draw t-shirt designs in my notebooks during school. I was selling CDs and DVDs. I would have like a full catalog that people could choose from. I would take requests. I started doing photography. I started DJing. I've always been low-key a bit of a hustler, right? So I ended up doing what most of us were told to do. I went to college and got an education because I was told that's what I was supposed to do, even though I wasn't sure if that's what I really wanted to do. But I would tutor sometimes at church. People would tell me, oh, you're good with numbers. You should try being an accountant or something. Try being a CPA. They made good money. And I tried that. First quarter or first semester, whatever it was, into taking like real accounting classes after I was getting past my undergrad shit. No sirree, Bob. Not my job. Yeah, I tried that for a little bit and I knew right away that wasn't going to work out. Same way I knew after I got a desk job working for the Department of Homeland Security, got a government job working at a desk. Easy money, easy shit. I would literally be falling asleep at work at my desk. And I knew right away, I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. The money is great, but I would lose my shit here. Now, before I went to college, remember, we would always be spending time at my grandma's house, family events and shit. So I would end up in the kitchen watching her, helping her cook. So I always kind of had like an affinity for cooking or just kind of being in the kitchen, being around food and stuff, right? So that was kind of like an idea or a thought of when I was about to go to college. I was like, oh, maybe I can go to culinary school. I could be a chef. Found out about how much it cost and the pricing. I didn't, like, again, me not wanting to be a burden. My mom said it probably wouldn't be able to have the money. I didn't even push it. I didn't try and question it. I was just like, all right, whatever. I'll go to a 4-year university, whatever. Not realizing that it's going to be just as expensive just on a longer term. But super grateful I did because I met my circle. I met them at college. So definitely an expensive detour, but a well-needed detour. I ended up going to college. Halfway through, I got a job. I switched majors. I switched to hospitality and started to pursue that as a major. Figured maybe I can get a job at a hotel, end up being a chef, right? Wouldn't you know it, I ended up getting a job at a hotel, worked there for like a year, ended up being hella cool with the chef. I found out that they were hiring for a prep cook position, applied, got the job, never turned back. I was still in school for a little bit until the chef I was working with, maybe like 9 months in, he got a call from a celebrity chef named Michael Mina, who was putting a steakhouse inside the 49ers stadium when they moved to Santa Clara. He was opening up a brand new steakhouse and a pub inside the 49ers stadium. He wanted the chef who hired me at the hotel, he wanted him to help. So the chef told him he would do it, but he wanted to bring along a hand-picked team, and part of his 5-man crew, he picked me to be on that team. So I was supposed to go to stage, which is basically like a soft interview where you go in the kitchen, you actually work, prep, do like some actual service type shit, right? So I was supposed to stage for a banquet position to help on his team. They ended up liking me. They ended up liking how I worked, how I moved, like everything. And they decided to bring me in as a cook for the steakhouse. I remember sitting out in the parking lot before I went inside. I was listening to the Fast 8 soundtrack. I don't remember what song it was, the one with 2 Chainz and Wiz Khalifa or something. But I was listening to that. I was like, yo, if I get this, I'm dropping out of college. I'm dropping out of school. I made it. I did it. I was like, this is what I want to do. I'm dropping out. As soon as I finished the stage, went out to the parking lot, called my mom, told her I was dropping out of school. She was not pleased. But calling my mom was the easy part. It was calling my dad that was like a little nerve-wracking. That really had me fucked up. But I called both of them, told them what my plans was, that I was dropping out. I'm going to be a chef, working for a celebrity chef like this. I did it. I'm here. And I learned a lot. It was a great experience. Ended up meeting and working with a number of really famous, popular chefs, really talented, skilled, world-traveled, world-class chefs. Taught me a lot of shit, and I learned a lot of shit. Ended up cooking for Mark Zuckerberg, Oprah, Beyonce, Steph Curry, like people that were in Silicon Valley at the time, like that Bay Area Warriors, Giants run. Like, it was a time to be alive. Met Curry, it was a good time. I ended up leaving there to help open a restaurant called True Food Kitchen in Palo Alto. And I remember getting there, one of my first shifts I worked, they had just opened. They had only been open like maybe a month or two. I remember going there and working my first shift, and it was the worst shift I had ever worked in my life. Like, we were running out of food. Half the menu was gone because they didn't place the orders right. Like, it was so bad. Worst shift I've ever had in my entire life. But I remember going there, and I remember saying to myself after that shift, I got to help turn this around. I need to, we got to fix this, because if this ain't going to work, this ain't sustainable. So I kind of set a goal for myself and was like, okay, I'm going to help turn this kitchen around. I'm going to help. They turnover is crazy. They keep losing employees. People are walking out on shifts. They don't even have food enough to make it through the shift. Like, I got to help turn this around. Fast forward like 3 years or so, and I felt like I had accomplished that goal. I felt like I had accomplished what I set out to do. And I was really proud of the work me and that team did when we were there. So once I accomplished that goal, though, it really kind of left me with this kind of sense of, I want to say lost, but like, what next? Like, what's my next move going to be? What am I doing next? I didn't want to be corporate. I didn't want to continue to move up in the chef space, in the kitchen world, in the restaurant world. I didn't want to continue to move up that way because I saw what it was. What I ended up realizing is that the reason I loved cooking was, one, because the nostalgia, the kind of sense of attachment or feeling I had that reminded me of like cooking with my grandma, those home cooked meals, stuff like that. But also it was a way to express myself creatively. It was a way to get my creativity out. And after I became a manager and like became a real chef and I wasn't just a line cook anymore, that went away. I kind of lost that aspect of it because it was more about management and keeping the business running as opposed to creating these new dishes, just having fun cooking it, which is why I got into it. So, like I said, after I accomplished that goal and we kind of hit this point where I was like, okay, I started feeling like, what's next? What am I doing next? All right, so where was I? Sorry, I had to make a quick stop. A little running around, took a little bit longer than I thought. But where was I? So I accomplished my goal. I was starting to feel unfulfilled at my job. Then 2020 hit. COVID hit, furlough hit, everybody got sent home, boom. Now, remember, up to this point, I'd already been doing like some side hustle, different jobs here and there. I was a photographer, I was DJ, I was starting to do video content. Me and my brothers started a podcast. So I was creating a lot in the time leading up to us being furloughed, everybody having to go home and sit down for a couple weeks, right? So COVID hit, everybody got sent home, and that was like the first time I had really just like stopped going, like stopped hustling. I'd always had a job. I was either that or in school, just kind of going, sometimes working two jobs. Like that's what I knew. That's what I saw my parents do. That's just what I knew. So I was always just kind of on go mode. And when COVID hit and we got sent home, that was the first time I like really had to like sit down and I really just got a chance to be free and kind of create. And that lasted all of about a week, maybe 2 weeks, because apparently as a manager of a restaurant, I was an essential worker. So back to work I went. And that's when like depression hit hard. That's when they really spotted like me kind of like slipping into like a really bad depression when I had to go back to work and everybody was kind of just still off and kind of stuck at home, not being able to work. Right. So fast forward a couple months and I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. I'm kind of like daydreaming a lot. And I remember Chef put me to the side one day. It was like, hey, what's going on? I need to see you pick it up. If you still want to grow with the company, if you still want to continue to like move up, I'm going to need to see more out of you. I'm not seeing that same fire, that same fight that you used to have. And I told him straight up, I was like, Chef, honestly, I probably won't be here in a year. I probably will be gone within a year. I remember people was like kind of freaking out when I told them that. They was like, why would you tell me you're going to quit? It was like, not me and Chef was cool. Like I had built up a good relationship with everybody at that job, with all the management. As one of the management, we all had a good relationship. So when I told him that, I was like, I'm giving you plenty of time to find a replacement, train a replacement. I'll help train whoever y'all want in my place, but I'm gone. I believe we had that conversation somewhere in June of 2020. Like I said, May 31st, I was gone. I had quit. I was out. So while I was doing all my side hustles, kind of learning about social media content, I started taking courses, like different online courses, watching YouTube videos, studying TikTok, growing my own page, just kind of like learning how to use social media and content to grow a brand and everything. And when I decided to quit, I figured I was going to start a clothing launch. So when I quit the job, I had already started kind of getting some designs together. I hopped on Shopify, started figuring that out, getting my website built, using Printful to do print on demand with the merch. I spent like 2-3 months just kind of like really diving in and building out the whole storefront, clothing line, all that, get it all built out, right? And when I launched, I want to say I did like maybe 8,000, like first month or so, I did about 8,000 in sales, which I was like really proud of. I was really like happy and felt like I did really good with that. But I also hit a point where I realized like, I don't know what to do next. I don't even know where I'm supposed to go from here. Like, what do I do? Do I just keep posting content? Like what? I didn't know what came next. And that was kind of like the turning point that led me down this whole digital marketing, e-commerce rabbit hole. And like the more I learned, the more I started figuring stuff out, the more I started like pieces just started to come together like it was a puzzle. Basically just started teaching myself marketing and giving myself marketing lessons and learning about like how this all works. Eventually I ended up getting an internship with a marketing agency, this company out in SoCal. And we were a partner with Costco doing face-to-face marketing, helping them with lead generation and sales. So basically helping them find potential clients and leads and getting them interested in the products and services that the company we were helping out, whatever they were looking for, we helped them find clients. I think my best month that I'm aware of was helping one of our clients generate $500,000 in sales from the leads and the clients I brought in. Not only was I doing that with the marketing agency as an official firm, but I was also starting to help coach people that I met on social media and different business owners. And doing that, getting my first couple of coaching clients, that's where I had this kind of aha moment of how fulfilling it felt being able to help another business owner, another Black woman, another Black man, another entrepreneur, another creative, like being able to help them get that aha moment and kind of figure some stuff out, some stuff that I kind of like just was able to teach myself and grasp and pick up along the way. Being able to help people do that and help them kind of get clarity just became like, that's really what I enjoy doing. That's what I really ended up realizing. That's where I enjoy doing it. It kind of took what I had learned or picked up doing my time as a chef, as far as coaching, teaching people, guiding people. I didn't like doing that under the guise of running a kitchen and building somebody else's business, but doing it for myself, where I'm helping other business owners, whether that's through networking, relationships, whatever, helping them to find the clarity that they need and that they're looking for. It's something about it. It gives you a very deep sense of purpose. I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy the people I work with, what I help them do, and just kind of like the freedom and the feeling of being fulfilled that comes with it. Like I said, I haven't hit my monetary goals. I haven't replaced my salary yet. And a lot of that has to do with me not having the foundation in place to build, to grow and scale this business. I now see that I wanted to. Because remember, when I dove into this, it was just kind of me just kind of figuring out it as I go. At first, I was going to do the drop shipping with the clothing line. Then that changed into creating content for businesses and brands, and that kind of changed into having my own software. It's been kind of figuring out what makes sense for me and where my strengths are. And where I've landed with that is kind of like a mix between coaching, helping with the strategy, the digital infrastructure, back end aspect of it, and then being a mentor and a guide to help people. That's kind of where I've landed and where I want the business to be. So in figuring that out, a lot of last year, 2024, was just me getting full clarity on what that is, getting my products built, getting my courses built, getting clear on what my coaching program looks like, beta testing it, trying it out with different clients, testing my knowledge and my abilities to see, okay, do I really know what I'm doing? Do I really know what I'm providing? Where am I going with this? What is this going to look like in 6 months, in a year? It was just getting a lot of clarity on that and getting that foundation into place. And then developing my own unique system and framework that I can use repeatedly to help other business owners. And I'm at a point where I feel like I've gotten clear on that. I have that foundation in place. I have my own framework. Still got to figure out a better name, or like a better, I don't know if the FFSS, but I'm going to figure out a better name for it. But it's basically my framework for helping any creator, business owner, entrepreneur, whatever, help them make sure they have the proper systems in place, they have the strategy in place, they're focused on the right things, and they have the foundation, the back end, the digital infrastructure in place to see success and ROI from what they're doing with their content, with their social media, and with their brand. And I've figured out ways to kind of distribute this to where it can be a useful service no matter where you are. So if you're just getting started, you might want to try my monthly marketing mastery subscription community, where I basically offer access to all my digital products, all my courses, weekly Q&A sessions where you get to hop on for office hours, ask me any questions that you might be struggling with. I also have a one-to-one coaching program where I work with you one-to-one, and we meet up every 2 weeks to kind of flesh out and implement a complete system and strategy setup. Or I can come in and build out your infrastructure for you. Those are kind of like the 3 different ways we can work together. But yeah, I finally feel like I'm in a place where I have all of that fleshed out. I know where I am with my branding, with my business, with my content process. And it took some time, just because I was literally figuring it out kind of on my own and bumping my head along the way, figuring it out as I go. But I am extremely happy with what I've put together and what I plan to do with it. Because now it becomes about the marketing and putting out the content and showing up consistently and networking and engaging with people and implementing my own kind of outreach system where I'm taking people from stranger to client and helping them build out a system. So now I'm able to take what I've learned and take the information I've got and help dispense it across a bunch of different people in my community, or people that just are looking for help and looking for guidance. And I'm really, really excited about that, really excited about where this is going, what I'm going to be doing next. Because what it really comes down to is that most people, they know that they can make money from their skills. They know they have the knowledge, the information, the talents, whatever. They know they have what it takes to make money and build a brand from what they're doing. They just don't know how to do it. And a lot of this just comes down to either the lack of information or a lack of guidance with the right information. Because even if you have the right information, if you're not doing it in the right order, or if you miss a step and you don't know like what you're missing, it can all look like it just doesn't work or it doesn't make sense. And I know there's a lot of people who are just looking for time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, and just the ability to not live paycheck to paycheck and be able to spend time with their family and have money after all the bills and not have to worry about, oh, am I going to be able to pay the bills next month? Like, people are just tired of struggling and living this very, I don't want to say shitty life, but it's like, there's better out there. There's more out there for you. And I really just want to help as many people figure that out as much as possible. Not force people to figure it out, not force people into it, because I've learned the hard way that you can't chase progress. You can't make people want better for themselves. You can't make people want to change. You can't make people want what's out there. People have to want it. People have to be willing to work for it and willing to go get it, willing to put in their time, effort, and energy to bring a dream of theirs or a passion of theirs to life. I want to be able to help with that as much as I can. So that's why I create content. That's why I'm putting out content. That's why I have my community. If you have any questions, if you need help with anything, struggling with anything, let me know in the comments, reach out, shoot me a DM. You know the things to do. All right, I'll talk to you on the next one.